Hello again. My name's Gabe Zolna. Just read a rather interesting article. I'm going to attach the link. You're not going to have to look for it. It's on WorldNet Daily. I'll give you some of the highlights. The title: Army Special Forces enraged over Obama attacks. General rips military leaders. They should put their stars on the table and be prepared to resign. It was written by Greg Corombos. It starts off: rules of engagement that risk the lives of U.S. forces and harsh punishment over questionable charges have America's elite Green Beret fuming at Obama administration. And the former commander of all Green Berets says it's just the latest symptoms of military deliberately weakened by this administration, and military officials more concerned about advancement than the good of their forces and their nation. The litany of Green Beret frustration was detailed this week by the Washington Times. The piece details several questionable punishments for elite service members over incidents that never resulted in formal charges. Army Secretary John McHugh stripped Major Matt Goldstein of a Silver Star for killing a Taliban bomb maker who took many U.S. lives. McHugh contends there is probable cause to believe Goldstein committed murder, even though Goldstein was cleared by the military. Are you sort of getting the picture? Lieutenant Colonel Jason Amiron shared his concern about a flawed hostage rescue program with Representative Duncan Hunter from California. When the FBI looked into it, officials there reported Amin to the Army, which opened a criminal investigation of Amin because it suspected he transmitted classified information. No evidence was ever found to support such a charge. The most highly publicized case in recent weeks centers on Sergeant Charles Martland, who was being expelled from the Army for roughing up an Afghan local police commander after a mother and son told troops the police officer raped the 12-year-old boy and assaulted the mother. For Obama, all this is okay, because that's what these sick, perverted people do. Especially when this commander raped a 12-year-old boy. The Time also quotes former Green Beret Denny Quinn, who quit the military because of how politicians and bureaucrats were punishing troops and tying their hands in theater. Oh, you mean like when an F-18 fighter pilot had the ISIS insurgents in their gun sights, and they had to request permission to engage, which took 3 hours. Well, who determines whether or not to engage? The White House. Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant General William Jerry Boykin commanded all Green Berets for a portion of his 36 years in uniform. He said conditions and morale for the military are even worse than the Times, and Quinn stated, quote, "There's more that hasn't been reported in terms of the kinds of things our special forces are putting up with now, to include rules of engagement. For example," Boykin said, "they make it virtually impossible for them to succeed, and in many cases even to protect themselves and the people they are responsible for." Boykin places much of the blame for the shoddy treatment of service members at the feet of President Barack Obama. And he said another group also shoulders a great deal of responsibility for America's military decline. Quote, "I am so disappointed in the Army leadership and the leadership in general in our military right now, because they've allowed the social experimentation that has had such a devastating impact on our military," said Boykin, who urged that weakening and transforming the military is a critical step in Obama's efforts to change America. Well, It's really to destroy America. Quote, you can't change society unless you change the military, because the military is such an anchor of our society in terms of values, he said. When it comes to the poor leadership of military leaders, Boykin said it is evident in multiple ways, starting with policies. You mean like that general that he's got that licks Obama's boots? You know who I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, you do. Quote, the service chiefs have supported these major budget cuts as well as sequestration, he said. They have now essentially an all-out assault on religious liberty within the military, where people, including chaplains, are being punished for exercising the First Amendment rights of freedom of religion. The general said he is disgusted by departing defense secretaries like Leon Panetta and Robert Gates, who offered critical reviews of the administration on various issues but never confronted Obama when they had the power to do so. Boykin believes the proper reaction of military officers to the Obama military agenda should have been obvious. Quote, if they really object to what's going on, they should stand up and say so, he said. They should put their stars on the table and be prepared to resign as a result of not being able to support the direction our military is taking our military. There's an audio that you want to listen to, which is why I'm going to attach the link. I've read you pretty much most of what's in this, but there's additional information you want to read for yourself. It's absolutely disgusting. And who do we blame? Well, it all comes back to our Congress. That's whom. This would never have happened if we had a fair and honest Congress. But, folks, we don't have a fair and honest Congress. That's why we are where we are. Read the article. Listen to the video. Let me know what you think. Yeah, sure as hell know what I think.